We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let's play with the camera here, see what yeah, I can see you a little better that way. Let's just do a little unguided meditation to start with. Then we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to share some books that inspired me to share with you. I'm in the place of my birth, upbringing, my parents' home here, and hey Danielle. And I discovered some books last night, rummaging around, some books that have inspired me on my path, so I'll share a few of them with you, talk about them briefly in person. Books to recommend on the path. I'll also share a few that I don't have in my possession at the moment. And we're going to start with just being present here together, tuning in, slow deep breaths to the bottom of the stomach. Slow deep breaths to the bottom of the stomach. Letting go of anything that's come before this moment, any kind of issues in the workplace or the family place, the roadways, externally, internally. For these next moments together, just tuning into really being fully present here together, open-hearted, open-minded, open-bodied, and through this collective shared field, this resonant field of presence, feeling the electromagnetic frequency of our hearts tuning to each other, allowing something more magical and miraculous to come into being through our shared unified field of present moment awareness, allowing the magic and miracles to arise, the epiphanies, the insights, the awakenings, and recognizing and realizing that the magic and the miracles are always here, are always present, are all that is, was, and shall be, and we are waking up to attune to this truth with our eyes open to see. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. When you're ready, open your eyes with fresh, innocent eyes as if you're seeing life for the first time. Just take a few moments to look around the space in silence. Notice if things feel more alive, vibrant, colorful. Present. Mira de Lund, Ellie, Martin, Patty, Danielle, welcome. Thank you for being. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us. So I have some books to share today. Books that inspired me on my path. And I found them last night in the house here, in a box. Actually, I was looking for a few of them, so I'm really glad I found this box, and I'm really glad to share them with you right now. So let's start off with this book right here. And this is the actual book that I would carry with me through so many different states and my journeys and countries and locations. This is Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. And this book was such an inspiration to me that I would carry it with me for a while, just everywhere. And it really opened me up, the liberation inside, the embodiment, the freedom, the expanse inside was really expansive for me. And yeah, it actually also influenced my writing, my style of writing. Walt Whitman was a big influence. And what's beautiful is Walt Whitman isn't known as necessarily a spiritual teacher or a guru, but the poet. When you can tune into the poetry inside yourself, that's the deepest connection to that universal creative intelligence that's inside us all. And Walt Whitman had a major spiritual awakening and was able to tap into that and express that and communicate that in a way that still resonates strongly today beyond language. This book here, Chung Tzu, The Essential Teachings of Chung Tzu, huge inspiration. Another book that I refer back to over and over for years. And Chung Tzu is from the same lineage as Lao Tzu. And Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching, which is one of the most revered, renowned spiritual books of all time, in its beautiful simplicity and its precise wisdom to pinpoint things that we're opening to at a particular moment or time. And Chung Tzu has a little bit more humor, this kind of ancient Chinese ability to play with the dualities, to question what's right, what's wrong, to see the unity, to see the Tao, which is also the divine, the God in all things, and openness to that. So beautiful inspiration here. Let's see a picture of him. So see this picture. So Chung Tzu had a dream. He fell asleep and had a dream that he was a butterfly. And then Chung Tzu woke up and he wasn't sure if he was a man who had a dream he was a butterfly, or a butterfly who's now having a dream that he's Chung Tzu. And there he is. So, how about you? Are you a butterfly, or are you a man or a woman? Eckhart Tolle is a huge inspiration in the sense of he was the first person when I started reading him that really articulated in such a clear, direct way, beyond dogma, beyond superstition, beyond ideology, that was aligned with the truth of everything I was feeling inside myself. So it was this huge reflection, this clear reflection. And to this day, I still feel that he is the most clear in articulating the spiritual awakening in the modern day, in the 21st century, in this time, in this place, in this culture, in a way that transcends dogma and ideology and clear language that goes right for the truth. So The New Earth is a highly recommended book, along with The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Thank you, Mr. Tolle. What else do we got? Oh, of course, Rumi. Rumi's amazing. A lot of you are familiar with his writing. Another huge inspiration, just really expansive. Poetry is such a, which is why I use poetry a lot in my writings. It's such a way, because it's non-linear. So it's acausal. So it just opens you to the moment. It can just pop you to the magic, the miraculousness, the amazement of life in this moment, in a way that linear writing doesn't necessarily do. So Rumi was a big inspiration, along with his other brother, the Sufi Hafiz. This is a great book, The Gift. Hafiz said, what did Hafiz say? He said, "This place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you. This place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you." So if you ever think that you're in a space where things aren't right, or things aren't the way they're supposed to be, or things are wrong, this place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you. Rumi book disappeared, but Rumi, one of my favorite lines from Rumi that I say a lot at the public events I do is, I was dancing on the lip of insanity, wanting to know reasons, knocking on a door. It opens. I've been knocking from the inside. All this time looking, searching outside, is looking for that answer, that man, that woman, that amount of money, that car, that house, that job. All these things are beautiful. But then when the door opens, when it finally opens, I realize I've been knocking from the inside. What I was looking for all of this time in different permutations and manifestations was the essence of myself. Beautiful, right? Krishnamurti. I was like reading this guy like exclusively, like in my late 20s, every day. Just blew me open. You know, all the things, the way I thought things were, the way I thought things should be. He just like took everything from me and left me with nothing. And I still have nothing to this day. He took it all from me. Krishnamurti, it's a very kind of, it's not for everybody because it has sort of a, what can be perceived as an analytical approach, like a thinking kind of approach. But if you go into it, it's actually the opposite of that. So it's basically starting with people that think a lot, which at that time I was a thinker, right? So it takes you there and takes you in a place that transcends thought, that transcends mind, that transcends all that is and includes it. The Awakening of Intelligence. It's a great title too. This is a beautiful book, The Enlightened Mind, Stephen Mitchell. He also has a book called The Enlightened Heart. And he takes works of teachers, writers, poets from around the world and puts them in his own framework and shares them in a way that really is a cohesive and coherent and really beautiful. He also has a great version of the Tao Te Ching, which I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of great different writers in here from China and Japan and the Islamic world and the Judaic world and the Christian world and the all kinds of different worlds. He's great. Abraham Hicks is with inspiration. I think Abraham Hicks is the deepest articulation of the law of attraction. A lot of the law of attraction stuff is very superficial and you know, which we talked about earlier, just kind of playing with the ego. But there's a way, if you go with it deep enough, you go in a way that transcends and goes beyond the ego. And what's powerful, and I did a radio show many years ago, many meaning like 5 or 6 years ago, about how if you take Abraham Hicks' work and you go deep enough, and you take Eckhart Tolle's work and you go deep enough, it goes to the exact same place. It looks on the surface like they're two different things, but they're not two different things. The true teaching of the law of attraction is, whatever you want in the future, be that vibration now. Whatever you want in the future, every true law of attraction teaching teaches the same essential truth. Whatever you want in the future, whatever you're trying to create, whatever you're trying to attract, be that vibration now. The only way to attract it is of like attracts like, so be that vibration now, and you attract that like vibration back to you. Right? So the core of both teachings is being in the present now, being in the highest vibration, the highest frequency now. There's no discordance between them. It's the same truth. Now, the joke is, if you're in this highest vibrational frequency now, this particular object, this particular thing that you thought you needed, you actually don't need it anymore, because you're in the vibration now. So that's kind of the funny, joke, paradox about the whole law of attraction. The principles are true. The principles are all valid. In the core, it's opening you up to the essence of yourself, and you can attract all kinds of amazing, miraculous things when you actually come to a place where you actually don't need them. Ha ha ha. David Hawkins, Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. David Hawkins, his breakdown of the levels of consciousness, I love. I think it's beautiful. It goes from, this book goes from 0 to, it breaks down into numbers. So it goes from 0 to 1,000. 0, the lowest level of consciousness, 1,000, the absolute highest level of consciousness. And all different traditions and writers and teachers break down these levels of consciousness in different ways. So I see people are writing things, by the way, and I'll get to some of those in a little bit, okay? Thanks for sharing and contributing. And I also want to hear what your favorite inspirational books are and writings are. So we'll get to that too, and follow up on that maybe in the next episode. Yeah, so he calibrates what he calls calibrations, and he calibrates by numbers. I don't pay attention to the calibrations. I think they're kind of irrelevant. So he'll be like, a Coca-Cola can calibrates at 125, a blade of grass calibrates at 200. So I don't pay attention to that. It's interesting. It's kind of fun. He calibrates like writers and teachers and gives each of them numbers. So that's kind of not so important, and it kind of throws him off and kind of, I think, takes away some of his credibility. But the breakdown of consciousness is beautiful. The way it breaks down, over 200 calibrations, under 200 calibrations, level of falsehood, level of truthhood. I'm not going to get into all of it right now, but really good stuff. Was an inspiration to me on my path. A couple more here. Michael Bernard Beckwith, The Spiritual Liberation. Love Michael Bernard Beckwith. He's actually one of the few people that I've picked up here that's actually living, besides me. And yeah, this is a great book. He's a real inspiration. He's an integration of self-realization and self-actualization, which I think is really important right now. Self-realization is realizing the essence of who you are, which transcends the world, which transcends the body, which transcends mind, which transcends everything that you see and perceive. Self-actualization is the embrace of what you see and actualizing it. Integration and actualizing what's here. So actualization is in the world of space and time, improving it, expanding it, going beyond what you perceive as your limited potential as a co-creative energy. And the core, the grounding of that, the only way that comes into being is through the self-realization of realizing the essence of who you are as one with the universal creative intelligence, beyond the illusion, the illusion of the separate ego, into this pure, infinite, creative intelligence that transcends words, including these, but can be felt and transmitted like it is right now. Aligned with that is Andrew Cohen's book, Evolutionary Enlightenment. Andrew Cohen is a controversial figure. I'm not going to get into him as a person at the moment, but this book itself is a good articulation of what I just talked about. It's actually really well done, really well written. The self-realization, the self-actualization, and the integration of the two, and the place that we're at in the evolution of our consciousness, where we're now, for the first time, on a collective level, able to become a co-creative expression of God in this world, kind of like the hands of God, the hands of the self-realized infinite being, and we're able to express that and bring what we've known as heaven into earth, and heaven and earth to become one in this calling of that we feel called, passion, purpose, inspiration, meaning to bring into this world, this kind of world that we know is possible, and there's a calling to bring that world that we know is possible into being. And it's kind of a paradox, because at the same time, that world that we know is possible is here. So it's like kind of the more that we see it, the more that we express it, and the more that we express it, the more that we see it, and it's kind of a feedback loop like that, which is really beautiful. One of the things I've really appreciated exploring is relationships. I think relationships are such an essential part of our evolution right now, of our spiritual path, of our spiritual awakening. Relationships in every sense of the word. And also they're they're really challenging for people. So there's a lot of growth. There's evolution is opening. Relationships are opening to new paradigms that are different than the old paradigms as we evolve in our conscious awakening and our consciousness. So there's things to explore, to understand, to learn. This was a good book. Conscious Loving, The Journey to Co-Commitment, Gay and Kathleen Hendricks. As well as other books. The Vortex, actually, by Abraham Hicks, is probably my favorite book on relationships, The Vortex. I find John Gray's stuff valuable. Men Are From Mars, Men Are From Venus, David Data. Yeah, lots of people. Meister Eckhart. This is by Matthew Fox. Meister Eckhart, not to be confused with Eckhart Tolle. There's a really has some really powerful writings that just cut you right to the core. Like, for example, Meister Eckhart said, "God is closer to me than I am to myself." God is closer to me than I am to myself. Meister Eckhart said, if the only prayer you ever say your entire life is thank you, that should suffice. Beautiful, right? If the only prayer you ever say your entire life is thank you, that should suffice. Just gratitude for whatever's in front of us. That was on the inside of my book, which, by the way, I don't have with me. Let me run through a couple other people quick that I don't have their books with me. In the realm of self-actualization, Anthony Robbins' book was one of the first books I ever read. It's called Unlimited Power. And that was really valuable for me, just to realize what's possible, the infinite potential of what's possible in this world, in this life. Ramana Maharshi, profound spiritual teacher, the self-inquiry of asking who we are. Nisargadatta Maharaj, both teachers from India, were really continue to be a source of inspiration for me. Peace Pilgrim, an American woman who renounced her name and her possessions, her money, everything, made a shirt that said Peace Pilgrim, and just walked America the rest of her days, just walked, just opened herself to never asking for money or food or shelter, just waited till someone offered it to her, and was in a vibration of emanating peace to the planet and bringing world peace, global peace, starting with peace within, the foundation of peace within. That book was a big inspiration to me in multiple ways, in numerous ways. I see Thich Nhat Hanh on here from Martin. Yes, Thich Nhat Hanh's been an inspiration. There's so many people, you know, and it's something that I don't talk about as much. I just kind of come in and transmit the presence, and it feels like it's valuable to show that there are roots, there's a heritage, there's a sense of inspiration, there's a lineage, there's study of like hundreds and hundreds of books, you know, that I've read, particularly at the intense period of when I was seeking, when I was searching. And I want to give thanks, you know, I want to give thanks to these people that were alive and they spoke to me and they influenced and they are a part of me and a part of what I share with you in this moment right now. So those are some of the many people. Also the beat writers, Jack Kerouac, also Henry Miller, people that, young American men that were sort of looking for a new way, kind of knowing that the old way, the old paradigm didn't work, and were exploring. And they made some mistakes and things that I necessarily wouldn't do at this point, but they explored, they adventured, they searched, they found some answers, you know, and they opened up in many ways the teachings of the East. Alan Watts also was huge in that regard, of bringing the teachings of the East to the West, which brings this beautiful integration that's here today, where we can take the best of the teachings from around the world and integrate them. Native American, the indigenous people, huge inspiration. Aborigines in Australia, the South American indigenous people. It's really hot out here. So the indigenous teachings and the teachings of the indigenous cultures have been a huge inspiration as well. All of that came into my books, The Big Glow and The Wow of the Now, which I actually don't have with me at the moment. I meant to bring them out, but that they infuse my writing, you know, and they infuse the wisdom and the teachings that came through in my books, which was is an intention to share in a really authentic, raw, human, vulnerable way for this time, for this world, for this culture, in a way that transcends dogma, transcends ideology. It's playful, that's fun, that's embraces all the parts of ourselves, you know, romantic, sexy, sad, happy, pleasurable, painful, the full range of all the expressions of ourself, and bringing the light, bringing that sense of gratitude to every single part of ourselves. So as you move through the book, you're moving through all the parts of yourself. You're taking a journey to all the parts of yourself, and you're shining the light and integrating all these different aspects of yourself that maybe you didn't even think of as necessarily religious or spiritual. You definitely didn't think of them all as religious. But religious or spiritual or something that's good or bad or right or wrong, it's just this explosion of light into just embracing this, to embracing this, whatever it is, including your desires, including your thoughts, including your emotions, including your feelings, including your dreams, including your body, including your relationships, including the people that you think are like this and the people you think are like that. This vast, expansive, immanent love that just transcends out and embraces and includes all that is in this moment right now. And if you've been with me for a little while, you know that it's always right now. Hey, Liz. So check these comments quick. Hi, Ikrak. Yeah, Tabitha, I mentioned The Power of Now. That's one of the first books I recommend to people, a huge inspiration. Funny comments. Hey, Heather. So just a couple more minutes. Anybody want to share any comments or questions on any of that? Want to share any books that have inspired them, or any books that you'd like me to check out, or any questions of any kind? Lisa from Tuscany. Tuscany is a beautiful place. Congratulations. Congratulations for having a good good karma to show up in Tuscany in this incarnation. Thank you, Tabitha. You're welcome. Oh, great. Great. And then you're here now. So you're watching a second one right now, live, which is the most fun. So when I'm coming live, I'm coming on at around 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which is New York City time, 9:30 a.m. Los Angeles time, 5:30 p.m. London time, 6:30 p.m. Tuscany time, and then it gets a little confusing beyond that. But if you don't see it live, you can always see the replay. The replay is available, but to tune in live, it's becoming fun, the increasing interaction. We're kind of like a community that's growing together, so we're kind of seeing each other each day, and we have a chance to connect in person and discuss together and feel this vibrational frequency that's alive together. Yeah, Power of Now is a great intro to what I'm teaching about. Rudolf Steiner. You know, Liz, I haven't read that much of his books. I know he's done some really great things around education, but I haven't read too many of his books. Do you have one that you recommend? Hugs. I read that book. That's one of my favorite books of all. It's so easy to read too. It's like, you know, just like instant download. So, yeah, leave in the comments any books you want to share, that you want to recommend, any question about any of the books that I shared, and the people that authors, teachers that I recommended. There's lots of great teachers and authors and books, and those are just a few. The Child's Changing Consciousness, got it. That reminds me of Joseph Chilton Pierce. He's a great author that does great work around the science of connecting the heart and the mind and the neocortex. It's like the evolution's end, and the integration of science and spirituality is such a beautiful topic right now, and he does a great job of bringing up the expansion and evolution of consciousness and scientific studies and research on a physiological, biological level that support that and express that in the physical form. Love you all so much. Appreciate you all so much. It's so exciting what we're co-creating together around the world, the joint electromagnetic frequency of our hearts. Check out the links for more information. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Share this presence with whoever you come in contact the rest of the day. And I will, yeah, continuum concept. I like that one a lot too. I did read that one. I will see you in the next now.